Patty Brisbane was at home caring for her youngest child and using the TV as background noise when a segment on a daytime talk show changed her life forever.
What these panel of women were doing was they were going into other women's homes and they were talking about intimacy products, and they were talking about how you could better communicate and how you could take your relation to the next level. And I was so intrigued by this, but I could not fathom what kind of woman had done or been involved in a company like that.
Patty began asking around and was surprised to discover not only had some of her friends heard of these parties, they had even attended them.
I said, "Oh my God, nobody came." And she said the house was packed with people and people stood in line to make these purchases. And I thought, I would love to do that.
Patty got a hold of a company that had provided the products and decided to host a party of her own.
You know, I had invited about 15 women and about 35, 40 women actually showed up. Women were there because they wanted to learn more about their bodies and about themselves.
Patty was hooked and quickly became a top seller.
Living in very conservative Cincinnati, Ohio, I stayed in the top 5 in sales and in recruiting, and I absolutely loved what I was doing. It just so happened that the owner of this particular company had become gravely ill.
The company was folding, and Patty, feeling obligated to the women under her, was left with really only one option: start a company of her own. So, Pure Romance was born, with the focus being personal relationships instead of simply products.
And what I found were women were there for that safe environment, giving them permission to explore their body and adding the education inside the presentation itself, making it fun but educational.
That mix of fun and education made her company excel over the next few years. So between graduating college and starting his new career, Patty's son Chris had a request.
He came in one day and he said, "Mom, can I take a look at your financials?" And I'm like, "Sure." And so he came in and he said to me, "You know, you've got $1 million plus company here. What are you planning on doing with this?" And I said, "Well, I don't know. I don't have a plan right now."
I think she was really good at the party side of it. She was really good at the product side of it. I think what she was missing was the scalability. How do we market it? How do we grow?
Chris wanted to help, but was unsure how. That is, at least until he tried to drive home.
Literally that night, as we get done with that meeting and I'm leaving, I hear this ad on the radio, right, about come meet Philippe, the photographer of the stars. You could be the next Guess Jean model. And this ad was playing about people that were at this hotel, and for $99 you had this chance of being this. I'm like, what the hell? So I decided to get in my car, I turn around on the highway, and I go back to see if there is anybody at this hotel.
The hotel was packed, and the next day Chris revealed his plan to Patty. They would give people the chance to meet her and learn how they could sell Pure Romance themselves.
And she goes, "That's the dumbest thing I ever heard in my entire life. Why would anybody want to come meet me?" I said, "Because, Mom, the way in which you talk about the products, the way in which you educate, they need a voice. Women need a voice." And I think she had a voice, and that was her niche.
Patty listened to Chris. They got a hotel in St. Louis, spent most of their savings to advertise the event, and almost no one showed up. That is, except for one very important encounter.
This woman stayed and she said, Can I have a little bit of your time? I'd like to ask you some questions. So I spent about an hour with her. I thought she was looking at the business opportunity. And I answered all of her questions. She left. She did not purchase the business.
Patty and Chris returned home feeling somewhat defeated until a few days later when Chris answered a call from a very excited woman.
And a woman was on the other end and said, "Hey, I'd like to join the business. I'm in St. Louis. Oh, did you come to our party? No. Did you hear our advertising? No." I said, "How'd you hear of us?" She goes, "Well, my husband brought me home the St. Louis Dispatch and it said the Tupperware of the 2000s. And I want to join this organization because I want to get in now."
Patty had unknowingly given a newspaper interview, and that article changed the direction of their marketing forever. The company began to grow rapidly, and Patty soon discovered that growth allowed her to help women far beyond the parties alone.
Because as this company was growing, I found that, a lot of questions that women were asking, I was finding out that there was very little research done in women's sexual health. And that has given me the opportunity now to provide funding and grants for more research, and so doctors could get more than just diagnosis. They could get actual treatments.
Helping other women in life and business is what started all this and still drives Patty to this day.
And every day I ask myself when I get up, what is it that I'm going to learn? What knowledge am I going to pick up to be a better person, to be a better Patty, to be a better leader, to be a better business owner, a better woman? And I get up because there's other women that are out there that are looking for that same inspiration.